Greetings fencers, the next verses are about Abschneiden, which means slicing off or cutting off. Sometimes the commonly used translations aren't quite accurate because of trying to use English fencing terms in early German fencing. The two lines about Abschneiden are sometimes not explained and just appear before the lines about the 4 slices, and so it's an easy inference that it refers to a less aggressive slice where you retreat and slice off, instead of pressing in aggressively to take full control. However, in the so-called von Danzig manuscript and in the later Joachim Meyer Kunst des Fechten, we see a drastically different technique. It's in these techniques that I believe we see the Streichen, which means sweeping or slashing. Streichen is the rising short edge cut done from Alba, or the later differentiated Wechsel. It can be used to hit many different targets from the bind or in the onset. If used in the Zufechten, be sure you're using your arms fully extended and not in close distance, ensuring your arms aren't bent and going through long point. If our opponent cuts at us, we can use the Streich to cut them off and strike back, either directly down the same line or with rotation, being sure to use our maximum extension. But relying on this technique means we're the one in the after. If we go with undercuts, or our opponent enters the bind over us, we can still try the same thing and get their sword up or to the side with a Streich. If our opponent manages to be too strong in the bind and we fail to push it to the side with Streichen, then leave the bind and strike down onto his sword and Streich up into his jaw. Schnappen or snapping has already been shown in the episode about counters to parrying, but is also shown here. Whenever someone is too hard in the bind, you always have the option to strike around, run off, or snap. It deflects them to the side and lets them power your sword. It's always fastest and most natural to cut down the opposite cut line, alternating long and short edge. Something to note with this family of techniques, regardless of the tradition, we're not nobles able to get easy hits on unskilled fighters. Everyone has access to these techniques. If you sit in Alba waiting to parry cuts, you'll have a low success rate. We all know what you can do from there. We can feint to bring up a Streich that aims at a sword and cut under. If it's at the sword, it doesn't threaten people. You need to be aggressive and put pressure on people if you want to practice it. But just don't sit in the after. It can also be used against Nachreisen at a longer distance. Martin Fabian also has a good video going through many elements of Streichen. Thanks for watching, keep studying, keep practicing.